Hello, my name is Zach Bools, and today I would invite you to join me in honoring HIV Long Term Survivors Awareness Day, a day that's dedicated to recognizing the strength and resilience of those who have lived with HIV for decades. And I'd also like to share with you my journey as an HIV positive man. When I was diagnosed as HIV positive 9.5 years ago in January of 2014, I wasn't well familiar and well educated about HIV. And when I was diagnosed, because I had failed to really keep my status up to date, it had actually progressed to AIDS and I was hospitalized. And I truly believed that it was, in fact, a death sentence. And because it had progressed to AIDS, the doctors actually told me I would have about 6 months left to live if I hadn't come in for treatment. And I remember laying there in the hospital bed, reflecting on all my life choices that had led me to that moment. And in that moment, without having much awareness or insight, something shifted within me. And rather than letting myself feel defeated and hopeless, I chose to not let this become a life sentence. I chose to not let this diagnosis define me. And fortunately, here I am today, 9.5 years later, living a completely healthy, normal, vibrant life. So today, I want to talk a little bit about my experience as an HIV positive man, a bit about my journey, and also honoring the long-term survivors of this virus, honoring those that we've lost when modern medicine wasn't as readily available, and celebrating how far we've come, while also acknowledging that there's still a lot of room for us to grow. And so I want to help you all understand, because it's so important for us to have more awareness about HIV, about this virus, and about what it can lead to, and also understanding how far we have come. You see, the stigma of HIV when I was first diagnosed is something that really felt discouraging for me, because I too was unaware. I too was uninformed. And I had a lot of negative beliefs about what it meant to be an HIV positive man. And so before I made that empowering decision to not let it define me, I felt devastated. I honestly felt like my life was over. I felt like broken, damaged goods. And I believed that I had nothing to live for. I believed that my life would be shortened and that I would never find love. I'd never experience the level of connection that I desired. And even after being released from the hospital, it took me a while to really understand what it means to be an HIV positive person. And in this video, I want to speak to all parts of this disease and helping those that may not be well informed or well equipped, not to feel shame or blame, but just to know that undetectable means untransmittable. Because studies have confirmed that people with an undetectable status, an undetectable viral load, have effectively no risk of sexually transmitting the virus to an HIV negative partner. And I know this firsthand. My husband is HIV negative. I'm HIV positive, but I've been undetectable for many years. And because I'm taking this medication every day, the antiviral medication, I have my HIV symptoms, my AIDS symptoms at bay. And it's literally impossible for me to transmit this disease to another person. It's so important for all of us to understand this, that HIV is not a death sentence. And despite the medical advancement, stigma and misinformation, they still persist. Many people believe that HIV is always a death sentence, or that it's easy to contract the virus from casual contact, both of which are incorrect. This stigma, it can lead to discrimination, make people afraid to get tested or treated, and can emotionally and physiologically impact those living with HIV. I want to share how grateful I am for such a supportive family who took me in when I was experiencing this rock bottom place of being hospitalized, being simultaneously diagnosed as HIV positive with AIDS, and for my family rushing to support me and encourage me and love me, for not being treated like a monster or like someone who could, by breathing the same air or making skin to skin non-sexual contact, put someone at risk. I feel like my family rallied together on both sides to really educate themselves and support me, because I didn't know what to expect when I was released from the hospital. I didn't know if my aunts and uncles were going to keep their kids away from me, thinking that just being in the same room as me could put them at risk. I'll never forget my Uncle Dennis encouraged his 1 or 2-year-old child at the time to give me a kiss on the cheek when they saw me. And I just remember feeling human and loved, and how much that helped support me to feel healthy, to feel supported. I also faced a lot of negative experiences, not in my family, but once I returned back to gay society. I actually reached an undetectable status. I don't remember if it was somewhere between 8 to 12 months after my diagnosis, but I returned myself to health, and I knew that I couldn't transmit the disease to another person. And I wanted to feel connection, and I wanted to find love, and I wanted to find romance. And I had come a long way to build myself up, to restore my health, to reach a place where I could connect with another human being in a romantic situation. And I put myself back on the dating apps, and wanting to be upfront about my status, although I still had a lot of fears and a lot of insecurities and a lot of shame, I felt a lot of judgment, a lot of negative judgment from other gay men on the dating apps who called me dirty and broken and damaged, that told me I should kill myself before I infect another person. And I took it really hard because I still had a lot of negative doubts, a lot of shame that I was carrying. And it wasn't their words that hurt me so much as the fact that I believed what they were saying was true. And it triggered those parts of me that doubted myself, that didn't believe in myself, that agreed that no one would ever love me, that I was damaged and broken. And for a long time, I really considered giving up on finding love, that just settling for a life of being single and trying to make the most of it. But fortunately, I gave myself permission to really look within with compassion and understanding. And I decided to find my worth and my value, and know that my life wasn't defined by my HIV status. I remembered that intention that I set for myself lying in the hospital bed, because I realized the misinformation and the hateful words from others is something that was out of my control. But what I could control was my reaction to those words. By letting that trigger be activated, by letting myself believe the things that they were saying were true, or by choosing to look within and deactivate that button that kept getting pushed. To no longer let myself take it personal when people told me they weren't interested in me because of my HIV status. And some guys were really nice about it. But until I really did this deeper inner work, I let it get to me every time. And as I mentioned before, I almost let that make me give up altogether. Fortunately, I found my worth and my value, and I started slowly but surely finding all the things that I love and appreciate about myself. I began to recognize my strength and my resiliency, and know that I am so much more than an HIV positive man living with AIDS. That I was undetectable, which means untransmittable. That I can live a normal, healthy life. And I built my confidence, I built my trust, I owned my worth, and I started focusing on all the things that make me such an amazing person. And I began to learn how to not take it personally when I would feel rejected for my HIV status. Instead of feeling sorry for myself, I just looked at that as an opportunity to recognize that that person wasn't well educated and maybe it wouldn't have been a good match anyway. And I kept my eye on the prize and I kept putting myself out there. And the more that I found that confidence and trust in myself, the more I began attracting amazing men into my life who valued me and appreciated me for who I am, despite being HIV positive. It was no longer something that I apologized for or felt down about. It was a part of me. But once I chose to no longer let it hold me back and I found my true resiliency and strength, everything began to change. Today, in addition to sharing my story, I want to celebrate the individuals who have lived with HIV for years, even decades. Their resilience and strength is truly inspiring. And I've had the opportunity to know and work with many gay men who's lived with HIV for 30 years or more, in a time when there wasn't a one pill a day solution, in a time where there was so much misunderstanding, so much miseducation, when people didn't know what to do, in a time when it wasn't even being publicly acknowledged by our government, from a time where it truly felt like a life sentence, a death sentence. I want to acknowledge these men and how they've turned their experiences into advocacy, educating others about HIV and fighting for better healthcare policies. I honor the men who stood before me to help create a world where HIV is public knowledge. Those who fought for medical breakthroughs, those who have put in so much time and dedicated their lives to help finding a cure, to help us getting as far as we have today. I want to take time to recognize the healthcare professionals, the families, the friends, and organizations who provide invaluable support. They remind us that nobody has to face this journey alone. And even with the progress we've made, we can't stop fighting, because continued research is key to improving treatments and ultimately finding a cure for HIV. And I do believe that that is out there. And I encourage you to support organizations that are committed to HIV research and patient advocacy. For all of you, knowing your status is vital. Regular HIV testing and safe practices are key steps that we can all take to prevent the spread of this virus. An HIV diagnosis is a chapter of life, not the whole story. We're defined by our resilience and our inner strength, not by our HIV status, and not by the perceptions of others. This was an important lesson that has helped me come to appreciate all of the experiences that I've had, to realize where I had opportunities to educate myself, to know that overcoming a feeling of hopelessness and discouragement and despair is always an option, because the way we view ourselves, our thoughts and our interpretations, they create our life experience. When I was newly diagnosed, when I was letting those people who were mocking me and harassing me get to me, I was giving my power away because of my unexplored interpretations and beliefs about what it meant to be an HIV positive man. And for quite a while, I felt in a rock bottom, hopeless place. I'm so glad that I had the support and encouragement of others and the inner strength and resiliency to overcome those thoughts and negative beliefs. Otherwise, I could still be in that rock bottom place. I could have let myself succumb to this virus, this disease, and give up. But I knew that my mindset, that my thoughts, that my belief systems, my energy, my core energy is what I had to learn how to shift and change and improve and elevate so that I could reach this place where I am today. Living my best life, feeling healthy, vibrant, and thriving in every way. At 41 years old, living with HIV for 9.5 years, I feel healthier and stronger and more empowered and more capable than I ever have in my entire life. And that's because I chose to believe in myself. I chose to create the successful outcomes that I have created in my life, that I still continue stepping into the unknown and creating. Our worth, our value is not dictated by the beliefs and thoughts and words of other people. It's based on how we see ourselves. So regardless of your HIV status, regardless of what you're struggling with, know that you get to decide how to create your life experience. And it all begins with thoughts that you choose for yourself. So again, let's take action today. Learn more about HIV, get tested, or spread the word about HIV Long Term Survivors Awareness Day, because together we can make a difference. Bye for now.